Hello, Super Horror family! I see most of you survived the start of the holiday season, and I couldn't be happier because we've got a great show for you tonight. Supernatural Sammy is going to be telling us about one of the most famous urban legends from Tennessee, the Bell Witch. Roger's going to share some thoughts with us. I'm sure it'll be very educational, and we're going to watch an LAPD training video.
How are the cops supposed to know what to do if the bad guy's wearing clothes?
It's LA. There's a higher chance the men there will be naked. But before we officially get started, I want to remind everyone about our official Super Horror Show calendar. You're gonna buy a calendar. This one is scary and funny and helps support the channel. Think about it, Super Horror fam. So today, I want to talk a little bit about apologizing.
Wow, really?
Surprise, Sammy?
Well, yeah, you normally don't talk about topics that are so mature.
Well, today's different. Before I continue, is there anything you want to say?
No.
Are you sure? Isn't there a certain someone here that you made certain promises to regarding a certain night of certain passionate romance together with? You lied to me!
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did! You invited me over for some orgasmic turkey. And I got the turkey, but, not anything else.
What are you talking about? Val, this doesn't say orgasmic turkey. It says organic turkey. So, since we're talking about apologizing, where's my apology, Val?
Okay, so here's the thing. I can see where you're coming from, but I still think I shouldn't have to apologize.
How does that make any sense?
Makes sense to me.
How?
Because being illiterate is cool.
I'm not illiterate!
Have you seen people today? They spell school S-K-O-O-L. It's cool not to know things.
Here's the problem, Roger. Val's mistake could have ended in a lawsuit. Do you know what that word means?
Oh. Wait, is that why you kept looking weird at Sammy when you would say, I want a little breast and a little leg, when Sammy would ask what part of the turkey you wanted?
Fine. We've decided to keep this show from being a complete dumpster fire. I should apologize. So it's time for me to say, I'm sorry. Sorry for the inconvenience of me not giving up.
Don't worry, I can cut the video right after his first sorry. It'll be great.
Thank you for your apology, Val.
I'm not talking to you right now.
That brings us to today's paranormal story. The Bell Witch legend is called America's Greatest Ghost Story by Dr. Nanner Fodor, a lawyer who later became a parapsychologist. The story starts in a cabin that sits on 1,000 acres of land in Red River, Tennessee, owned by John and Lucy Bell. John and Lucy lived with their 6 kids and were tormented by an entity later called the Bell Witch. Even the name Bell Witch is strange, because it didn't look or act like the way you would think a witch would act. No one's been able to figure out what this entity really was. The witch, who identified herself as Kate, was very egotistical and manipulative. She tortured not only the Bell family, but also those who traveled through the area, doing everything from materializing objects out of nowhere to vigorously attacking members of the Bell family. She first revealed herself in 1817. John Bell was out hunting in his cornfield when he was startled by a strange-looking creature. It was sitting between the rows of corn, staring at him. He first thought it was a dog, but as he got closer, he saw the face looked rabbit-like. The strange-looking creature scared him, so he shot at it, and the creature disappeared. John shrugged off the strange encounter and went on with his day. Later that night, the family started hearing loud pounding sounds on the outside walls of the house. John and his sons ran outside, but nothing was there. The Bell's daughter, Elizabeth, also known as Betsy, was smart. She knew a lot about plants and animals, and she was somewhat of a naturalist. Betsy was taking a walk through the orchard when she saw what looked like a woman. She tried to speak to her, but the woman just disappeared. The loud banging and pounding sounds not only kept happening at night, but soon it began happening every night. The banging got louder and louder until the family started hearing sounds coming from the inside of the house. The kids began to hear what sounded like something gnawing on the bedposts. They thought it was rats. Scratching sounds and knocks were heard on the bedroom walls. They would be woken up by something pulling the blankets off their bed, and their pillows would be thrown across the room by something they couldn't see. The family started trying to communicate with the entity, mostly the boys, asking it simple math questions that it would answer with knocks. They asked how many people lived in the house. It knocked the correct number of times, with 8 knocks. They would ask it yes or no questions that it would answer with 1 knock for yes or 2 for no. Whatever this thing was, it seemed to be intelligent. Then, they started hearing a faint whispering voice. The voice was very quiet and sounded like a very old woman. They couldn't tell what it was saying. Sometimes it sounded like it was singing. Over time, the voice got stronger, and one day, the boys asked it who it was and what it wanted. The voice answered, and it said it was a spirit who was once happy but had been disturbed. The kids continued to be tormented at night, getting their hair pulled, sometimes getting slapped. This would also happen to visitors and even other people that lived in the area. During this time, John Bell began having trouble eating. His tongue would swell and he'd have trouble swallowing and chewing food. Sometimes he would randomly have full-body spasms. But John wasn't the only target of the witch. His daughter Betsy would be violently attacked at night. Betsy would be woken up with her hair being pulled, she would be slapped, scratched, and sometimes pulled off her bed. She would have bruises and welts on her body. Other times, Betsy would go into a deep trance-like state for several hours without explanation, and then just come out of it. The Bells wanted to keep this haunting by the witch a secret. They felt ashamed. But it got so bad that John eventually told his friend James Johnson and asked him for help. Both Mr. and Mrs. Johnson came over and spent the night. Then, when everyone in the house was asleep, the entity entered the Johnsons' bedroom and ripped the covers from their bed. Mr. Johnson was slapped. He was shocked and sat up demanding the spirit show itself and explain why it was there. There was no response, and the rest of the night was quiet. Mr. Johnson told John Bell the next morning that he thought it was an evil entity and that he should find more help. The entity seemed to enjoy the attention of visitors coming to see it and began to be able to speak in complete sentences. The once weak voice began sounding like a young woman. The witch would use her ability to speak or do things that couldn't be explained. Once she repeated 2 sermons, word for word, from 2 different churches that were far from each other while they were happening. The Bells and their visitors continued to ask the entity what it was, and it would give them different responses. One being that it was the spirit of a Native American whose grave was disturbed. There were many mounds around that were burial places for natives, so this was possible. On one occasion, a visitor brought the bones from one of these mounds into the Bell house and threw them against the wall. A tooth from the bones came off and fell through a crack in the floor. The spirit said it couldn't rest until the tooth was found. They searched, but never found the tooth. Another time, a man called Reverend James Gunn asked the spirit who it was. This time, the spirit said it was an immigrant that had hidden a lot of money before they died, and they wanted Betsy to have it. The family then went out, following the directions the spirit gave them, trying to find the treasure. They traveled to a corner of the Bells' property and dug where the entity said, for hours. They never found any money, and when they returned, the spirit teased them and laughed at them. Eventually, the spirit claimed that it was really the spirit of a woman named Kate Batts, though some think the entity wasn't Kate herself, but was a spirit conjured from Kate to seek revenge. From then on, the spirit would be called Kate. Kate Batts was a strong-willed, funny woman who ran her farm alone. Her husband Frederick Batts was handicapped. Kate was quite successful in running her farm and was known to have quite a personality, seeming a little nutty to some people in town. Some think the entity had nothing to do with Kate Batts at all, but chose her because of her personality. The Bell Witch was getting a lot of attention. Eventually, a man named Mr. Williams, a professional detective, heard about the Bell Witch and traveled from far away to see what was really going on at the Bell House. He specialized in solving mysteries and did not believe in the supernatural. He went to the house specifically to disprove what was going on and expose the whole thing as a hoax. Mr. Bell kindly invited him in. A few days went by with nothing happening, and one evening the house was full of guests. Mr. Williams began exclaiming how this was a hoax put on by the family. He said they were using ventriloquism and tricks to fool everyone, and they were all falling for it. John became angry and threatened to kick him out. Then, at that second, Kate spoke, telling old John to let him stay, and that she would show him he's not so smart. Later that evening, people waited anxiously for the witch to speak. It was quiet, and soon everyone became tired and began getting ready for bed. Mattresses were put out in the living room for guests. Mr. Williams fell asleep. He was abruptly woken up by an unseen force pinning him to the floor. He was completely powerless. The witch began scratching and hitting him. Mr. Williams screamed out for help. The witch continued attacking him, while mockingly asking him to tell her the name of the family member he thought was attacking him. He was beaten for 2 minutes until a candle was lit. Then the beating stopped. Mr. Williams was terrified. Sitting up in a chair with a candle, kept awake by the witch, continuously ridiculing him and asking him how the investigation was going and how long he was going to stay. As soon as morning came, Mr. Williams got his horse and took off. Next week we're doing part 2.
That's awesome. I can't wait for part 2. It's crazy how some people get to live so close to these places. I wish I did.
We get a lot of Dogman sightings near us, also Thunderbird sightings and Bigfoot sightings.
Hey guys. I'm sorry about earlier. I was just upset.
It's okay, Val.
Yeah, Papa Bones.
Eh. Oh man, that felt weird. Okay, hey, to get this show back on track, how about a joke? Oh, I know. How about a construction joke?
Sure.
Okay.
It isn't finished yet.
Don't worry about it. Just tell it to us when you finish it.
Roger, isn't it time to share your thoughts for today?
Yes! You guys aren't going to be ready for this. Some people believe every great discovery has been made. There's no new ideas. So this week, I set out to prove them wrong, proving myself right or correct. That's what led to me developing the theory of correctitude.
Roger?
Not during the video, Papa Bones. While watching adults argue, I noticed a pattern. The more correct a person was, the louder they spoke. The yellitude directly correlated to the correctitude. Okay, you look confused. Where did I lose you?
The part where you correctly use the word correlated in the same sentence as correctitude and yellitude.
Okay, the bigger the yell, the bigger the correct. Does that make sense now?
Yes!
Good. I can tell by the yell that you are correct.
Have you ever looked at a police officer and thought, wow, I bet it takes a lot of training to do that? Well, tonight we've got our hands on an official training video from the LAPD. Because LA is a big city, it's very important their officers receive the best training. So, without further interruption, here is Self-Defense and Disarmament. Made for the Los Angeles Police Department, Circus Division.
Training Division. But what if I can't divide?
That's okay. That's what the training is for.
Presents? Is Santa involved in this training?
Self-defense and disarmament.
Why are they trying to take away people's arms?
Oh my gosh, they're naked.
Why are they touching? Is this the wrong movie?
Jello Wrestling Championship.
Take his arm off. Take his arm off. Do disarmament. Take his arm off.
This is supposed to be for cops, right? Do cops hug a lot of naked men in LA? Like, is that a big part of the job?
And many of the nation's finest boxers and wrestlers were enlisted to instruct recruits in the manly art of self-defense.
Puh, manly art.
Police officers have been using this science in their everyday work.
Well, to be fair, 2 men is pretty manly. More manly than 1 man. Less manly than 3.
To subdue and restrain a suspect.
Holy crap, that guy is dead!
Of so-called police
But the fight's not over yet, because he didn't lose his arm.
It's further complicated in that many of the suspects
This guy's about to be disheadamented.
will be veterans of the war.
The sad thing is, this is evidence some men will do anything for a hug. I just want a hug!
No, I hate you.
Oh no, he's crying.
I'm sorry, don't cry.
Give me a hug.
No, give me your hand, I'll hug your hand.
Okay.
When meeting a trained and experienced
Those 2 guys look the same.
Present day John is fighting John from the future.
Leverage principles.
Leverage principles.
certain parts of a man's anatomy are extremely vulnerable to attack.
The mommy-daddy box.
The larynx or Adam's apple, the elbow.
Why are they pointing? Shouldn't the cops know where the parts of the body are?
This holds true regardless.
Can you imagine when these guys were approached? Hey, you guys look strong. How'd you like to be in a movie where you play 2 LAPD officers?
Wow, like with a badge and a gun?
Sort of.
Or strength which may be present.
That ends the demonstration for the one-finger death choke. But what if you don't need to kill the man?
Step 1, grab the man's leg. Step 2, tickle his knee. Tickle, tickle, tickle.
That tickles.
Certain holds are easily broken because of the comparative weakness of the thumb in relation to the rest of the
No,
hand.
stop it. Help, police.
The wrist towards the thumb
You're the
will
police.
always be effective in
Oh,
obtaining
help
relief
me.
from a one-handed
Save me. Approach.
The approach
Approach.
of the officer to the suspect is
What did I tell you about walking here?
what can happen
Oh,
when the
wise guy, eh?
said to the frontal approach. The suspect has the choice of several
Why,
methods
I
of
oughta-
causing the officer not only to look ridiculous,
Come on, what's the
but
matter with
also
you?
to incur serious bodily injury.
But what would happen if the 3 Stooges got stabbed in slow motion?
Oh.
As 95% of all men are right-handed, the correct approach is to step to the right side of the suspect prior to questioning him.
I think we should note that there's still a 5% chance that he's left-handed and punches you in the face.
And grasp the material of his coat or other garment. So as to
Dear
Kindly, Sergeant Krupke, you gotta understand, it's just our bringing up ski that gets us out of hand. Our fathers all are junkies, our mothers all are drunks.
Golly Moses, naturally we're punks.
Let me go. Let me go. Ah, I can't reach him. Ouch.
We are sick, we are sick, we are sick, sick, sick. Yes,
Yes, we all are so.
I don't care if this is LA. No more singing.
But I have to sing.
No, you don't.
Hey, do you want a hug?
No.
Just do it.
No.
That's it. You're under arrest for not hugging.
Okay, I guess one hug couldn't hurt. Whoa, what kind of hug is this?
It's a special LAPD hug. Oh yeah. Hug, 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 hug. Hug, 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 hug.
Hey, can I see what you're doing back there?
No!
What
The hell is going on here?
The knee drop may be used to the suspect's fighting ability to a minimum.
Cause he's dead.
As the officer follows the right knee onto the suspect ribs.
Then, gently caress his
Depending upon the
shoulder.
force and rapidity of the fall, the suspect will be incapacitated,
Allowing you ample time to feel up his leg.
From the rear of the suspect, you can easily drop him with a cage behind.
After which, he will handcuff himself, as you've asserted your dominance.
Continuing pressure on this vulnerable spot will increase his cooperation in the handcuffing operation by about 100%.
After the self-handcuffing, the aggressive cuddling can ensue.
In extreme cases, the flying mare may be used.
Named
But it
after
is
the
not
mayor
recommended
after his wife
that
caught him with his
it
secretary.
places the suspect
You
momentarily
cheating!
behind the officer. However, this come-along is easily applied and very effective.
After making him walk like a monkey in front of his friends, he will be sufficiently shamed, deterring future acts of delinquency.
Breaks the hold.
Hey guys, what's up? Anyone doing any cool drugs or partying?
Are you a cop?
No!
Good.
Ah! Wait! Come back! I'm a cop!
When an officer stops two persons,
Let's try that again.
it is vital that
You guys doing drugs?
extreme right and keep
You a
the
cop?
one man between
Yes.
them and the second suspect
Oh
at
man.
all times.
Help! It's a cop! Play Ring Around the Rosie! Faster, faster! Help me!
The problem of restraining female suspects is a difficult one. What usually happens is something like this.
What the hell's going on here? Those guys aren't dressed like cops.
Maybe the cops are going to save her.
Control of her elbows is highly important. With those locked behind her back, she has no
Did this
choice
video
but
go
to
from how to hug naked men to how to overpower a woman when there's two men and one woman?
Yes, I think it just did.
So, what do we have here?
Well, what have we here?
See that badge? She's my wife now. Hey, he's on board. He knows the deal. Come on.
He has other plans.
No! Leroy, you're such a coward. Punch this guy. He's not even a real cop.
Sorry.
That was his library
Go on
card.
all night. Who was it that said this one was weaker set? This hold leaves the
All right,
officer's
fine,
right
I'll be
hand
your
free
wife.
to ward off bites and scratches.
Just like real husband and wife.
The strangleholds are dangerous and cannot be broken
How do you like
with
it?
strict adherence to Marcus of Queensberry
Oh.
rules.
Ouch!
The officer is justified in using these
Okay,
where the
I'm
suspect
sorry.
is the aggressor
Really?
Psych!
and has
Get
the
pranked,
advantage of a
idiot!
surprise attack.
Oh! Oh man.
The same
All
is
right,
true
now
of
what
the
if someone
clumsy
wants
and
to hug you
easily
really
broken
bad,
bear
but you
hug.
don't want to be hugged? Employ the double-fisted nut punch until the hugger stops. But what if you get hugged
the
from
officer's
behind?
arms are
60% of all huggings
You may use
happen
this
from the
knuckle to
rear.
good advantage in breaking the hold.
Just use a laughing handhold to force them to let go.
I just wanted a hug.
Well, you know what they say. Some cops are good, and some cops were trained in LA. Well, that's it for this week, Super Hard Fam. Thank you for every view, like, and comment. And thank you, Patreons, my copyright guardians. Make sure you all take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you all next week.